Hey there, Storyland folks. My Facebook Live is once again giving me trouble, so we're going to just record a regular video. Today's topic for Storytime with Mary is about the hero in your stories. Who is the hero in your stories? One of the fundamental concepts you learn when you apply storytelling to communication, particularly communication around your business, around your brand, is this rule, which is the hero of your brand story is not you. You are not the hero, and your brand is also not the hero. The hero of the story that you're telling again and again into the marketplace is your customer, your potential customer, your current customer, your past customers. They are the heroes. They are the people in the stories that we want our audience to connect to. So let's break down some of those elements of the hero, what makes a great hero, and then you can start to really rev up how you're identifying and storytelling about your hero. So the first thing to think about in your hero is that your hero needs to be relatable. The heroes we love most and connect to most are, they're challenged. They're not perfect. They're kind of a mess. I think of the Star Wars saga, of course, has the quintessential hero in Luke Skywalker. He is the hero. And how is Luke? He's kind of whiny. He's kind of a disaster. He's all over the place. And that's part of why we like him. Another great example, a more contemporary example, would be the Harry Potter stories, right? Who's our hero? Of course, it's Harry. And how would you describe Harry? Once again, Harry's kind of all over the place. He's frequently confused. He's bright, he's clever, but he's not the brightest, the cleverest. And he frequently forgets what he's learned. He forgets to ask for help. He messes up and somehow pulls it together in the end, usually with some help from his friends. That's the story of a classic hero, a hero that is relatable. We relate to heroes that have those elements because that's how it is for us. We know that we're not perfect. We know that we're confused. We know that we mess up and forget to ask for help and aren't the brightest, the best, the one who's the best at everything. And so when we hear stories about heroes that have relatability, we connect to them. So it's really important that you pick a relatable hero, or really all heroes are relatable. It's just you need to tell the parts about the hero that are relatable. Part of how we do that is when we're telling a story, we need to make sure that we go through what we call the messy middle. You've probably heard me talk about this before, but that's the part of the story where we see the challenge. We see the journey and all the struggle and the things that don't go well and the failures. The moments like what's happening right now where my cat is incessantly crying in the background because I'm not letting him outside while I record because he will be crawling on my body, and yet he's determined to be in this video with his dang nagging cry. So there we go. My story's kind of messy middle today too, and so does yours. So when you're telling a story, it's really important that you connect your audience to that messy middle, to the parts in the middle of the story where everything doesn't go perfectly, because that is the part that the audience says, that's like me. I get that. When I'm learning new things or trying new things, it doesn't always go perfectly. When you make it so perfect and you skip over the messy middle, then people think, and rightly so, it's too good to be true. It couldn't really work that way. And especially if you're telling a brand story, a story about how your brand is going to help your hero get to this next level, this next accomplishment, solve problems, whatever it is that they're getting from your brand. If you forget to tell the messy middle, some little part of it, then your audience says, I'm not sure that will work for me. I'm not that good at things. I might struggle. I don't know if they're prepared for that. So it's really important that your stories have a messy middle, that your brand story has the ability for your customer to see the ways that even as they struggle, there will be resources for them. There will be opportunity. So when you're looking at your stories, one of the things you want to avoid is what I call a Susan story. Imagine this woman. Her name is Susan. And Susan is beautiful. She's inherently beautiful, really fit. She's really smart, like very, very clever. When she was in high school and in college, she got great grades. She did a lot of sports. She had lots of friends, and she built her first business, and it was really successful in college. And eventually Susan married this guy, Steve, and Steve is also really handsome, six-pack abs. Steve loves to do the dishes and do laundry. He's never forgotten Susan's birthday or an anniversary. In fact, he buys her flowers nearly every week, and is also a brilliant businessman. And Susan and Steve have two children who both love to eat vegetables, love to make their beds and do homework, never talk back, and are just generally excellent, enlightened human beings already at age 5 and 7. Now, as I'm telling you these details about Susan and her lovely family, you are quickly losing interest, or you're wondering when I'm going to tell you the thing that isn't so perfect about Susan. Because if I just keep telling you all the wonderful, magical things about Susan, unless the next step is finding out that her business is cooking meth, or she's about to get hit by a bus, or something is going to add some difficulty into the story, we're just not that interested because we don't relate to Susan. Because our lives are nothing like that. We do accomplish some of those things, but we do it with a great deal of effort and struggle and failure and just wanting to go back home and lay on the sofa and eat ice cream and watch TV. So when we make Susan's story so brilliant with just the highlights, it's kind of like hanging out on Facebook where all you hear is the highlights. We need to not do that in our brand story. We need to not do that when we talk about our clients, our customers. One final thought for you. I know a lot of you that watch my content are chiropractors. I've got a special tip for the chiropractors. If a great hero is someone who is empowering themselves, right? Your great main character is someone who's finding the power within them and who's able to go on this journey, and you're not the one who's solving the problem, they're actually solving it themselves. What does that sound like to you? That is the chiropractic story. The idea that your capacity to be healthy and well and heal has been with you all along makes me think of The Wizard of Oz. You know, at the end, Dorothy finally gets through all of the journey and learns all the things she needs to learn, and then Glenda finally says to her, you know, she says, I want to go home, just how do I get home to Kansas? And Glenda says, oh my dear, you had the power with you all along. Why does Glenda talk like that? That's just how she talks. But anyway, it turns out that Dorothy always had the power. It was in her ruby slippers, and all she had to do was tap her heels together, and ta-da, she was able to go home to Kansas. That's the chiropractic story right there, that your patient, your customer, your client is the hero in the story. They are the person who has the power all along. They just needed to get connected to it and to understand it and to be empowered in how to interact with that amazing, vital life force and capacity to be healthy and whole that happens when the nervous system is free of subluxation and the body's able to communicate properly and do the thing it was always designed to do. Be healthy. So, tip for you chiropractors, we have got such a great hero's story for our customers, for our patients, and we need to just remember to tell that part of it over and over again, that empowering hero's journey story to our patients, and they will be able to connect with what we do so well. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Because this episode is not Facebook Live, that means it's not getting probably shared. Well, it's not naturally going to the top of people's list. So I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. If you think this is good content that your followers, the people who follow you on social media would like, do me a favor, share it with them. Just share it and tell them why you liked it, and then more people will see it. Also, I'd love to send you to the Art of Story Project website. I have made a ton of updates in the last few weeks. There is now an opportunity to get a free consult with me to talk about storytelling. There are some free downloads of ways to use story in your business. You just have to click the buttons and hit the things, and you'll get all that free stuff. So please go check it out and interact with me however works best for you, and stay on the lookout every Sunday for some format of Storytime with Mary. See you next week.